Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aubrey and I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. So I sincerely apologize for not having a video last week. I was just had a lot going on with like parent-teacher conferences, and then I had a doctor appointment because I've been having some like vision vertigo stuff going on lately, which is very unpleasant. And I need to go see another doctor because I went to the eye doctor last week. My eyes look fine, so I'm gonna go see an ENT and see if maybe it could be my inner ears. And then if that turns out as a negative, I guess the next step would be a neurologist. I'm not sure, but I had that going on. And then we had a field trip where we took our students to an overnight camp. So that took up quite a bit of time, as you might imagine. It was a lot of fun. It was exhausting. I didn't sleep the whole night, just lying there in the bed in the cabin, wide awake and unhappy about it. So it was just a lot. And I realized on Friday at the camp that I had forgotten, amongst all of the goings on, to post any updates for you guys and let you know what was happening. So I am so sorry about that, but never fear, I am here this week to go over my September book haul. So as always, we're going to go through all of the books that I acquired in the month of September, based on where I got them from. So we're going to start with Barnes & Noble. And I did receive quite a few pre-orders from Barnes & Noble in September, so we have a little stack here from them to go through. The first one that I have is The Court of the Dead. This is the most recent novel in the Nico D'Angelo adventures, which is part of the Camp Half-Blood series by Rekhyt. Although the Nico D'Angelo adventures are also co-written by Mark Oshiro. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. It's very pretty. I mean, I think this might be the original cover art, but it has the Minotaur on the sprayed edges. It also has the Minotaur on the naked hardcover. And I don't know if the end papers are exclusive to the Barnes & Noble edition or if they are also part of the standard edition, but I just think that they look really cool. I really like the combination of the orange and the purple. With this book's color scheme, I think that it's just one of my favorite color combinations. Also very appropriate for autumn. So I don't know that I should read the synopsis because it does spoil some like relationships that you learn about as Camp Half-Blood goes on. But Camp Half-Blood, if you're unfamiliar, does start with the series Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and it's about demigod children and the adventures that they go on. It does have series that deal with mythologies from different cultures. So there's obviously Greek mythology, there's Roman, there's Egyptian. I'm not sure what else, because I have only read the original Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, but I love it a lot. I love those characters and I really want to continue Camp Half-Blood. So while I am trying to collect all of the books that have released so far, I'm also trying to keep up to date with new releases. So I went ahead and ordered that one, and again, I love the way it looks. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm very excited to get back into Camp Half-Blood. I don't know when I will. It's just a matter of, like I said, me trying to catch up on acquiring copies of the series in between that I have missed out on. All right, and then the only reason I ordered these next two is because there is some extra material in the first one that is not present in any of the editions that I already have. Otherwise, I would not have ordered these, but like I wanted that extra material, and then I wanted the second book in the series to match. It's a problem. But The two books that I'm talking about are the Cerulean Chronicles by T.J. Klune. So we have The House in the Cerulean Sea and Somewhere Beyond the Sea. These are the new deluxe paperback editions. They have sprayed edges. And again, I would not have ordered these, except I will say I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but the art itself, especially on the Phoenix on the second book, has a very metallic sheen in places, and like with the sunlight down here. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but it's very pretty in person. But anyway, I only got these because the first one, The House in the Cerulean Sea, did come with extra content. It has character files about some of the children, and it also has an extra chapter that I have never read before, and as far as I am aware is not available in the other editions. So I did want to have that content, so I did order these. This one does not have any extra content, I don't think. I'm scared to look because I haven't actually read Somewhere Beyond the Sea yet, but it doesn't appear to at the end. So what I'm going to do is whenever I decide to read Somewhere Beyond the Sea, I'm going to have this edition on standby so I can just read the extra content first, because when I looked at it, it did seem to be like a lead-in into the second book. So I will read that and then move on to reading this one. So yes, I didn't need these editions. I just wanted the extra content. So here we are. But they do feel really, really nice. I can't really explain the texture. They're really smooth, but not glossy, but not matte either. They're like really soft. I don't know how to describe it, but they do feel really, really nice. I love getting extra content, don't get me wrong, but it does get a little frustrating sometimes. I don't know if any of you ever feel like this. How certain editions have exclusive content that other editions don't, particularly when, which is not the case here, but particularly when you have multiple special editions and each one has a separate piece of extra content. And so you're like, if I want all of that, I have to collect all the editions, even if it's not a book that I would normally collect all the editions for. Like y'all know, if you've been here a while, I do have some books and series that I do collect all of the editions for. And those I don't mind because I'm going to collect them anyway. But sometimes I don't want to collect multiple editions, but I want the extra content, and it's really frustrating. I do have several editions of The House in the Cerulean Sea, but just because I got the deluxe hardcover of Somewhere Beyond the Sea when it came out, and again I wanted the hardcover to match for The House in the Cerulean Sea because my original one is the Barnes & Noble exclusive paperback. And then I also have I think it's Acrylopix. I can't remember. It might not be Acrylopix, but I have a special edition of The House in the Cerulean Sea because it came with really pretty page overlays that I wanted. But this is not a book that I collect every edition of, so this was a little frustrating that I had to get another one, but I am excited to get that extra content, so I guess it's a bit of a toss-up. Oh, I didn't explain what the series is about. In the first book, we follow Linus Baker, who works for, he's essentially a social worker in a department that deals with magical children, and his job is to go to orphanages where these children live and assess them, make sure that they're safe, that the children are well taken care of. And he's kind of gained a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a stickler for the rules, and he gets sent to this one orphanage run by a man named Arthur Parnassus. And this orphanage houses some particularly unusual children, one of whom may or may not actually be the Antichrist. And Linus has to go here and evaluate this orphanage and the caretaker and whether the children are a danger in the whether they are in danger, but whether they are also posing a danger in the particular situation that they're in. And it's just so lovely and beautiful. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it is one of the most heartwarming, beautiful examples of found family I've ever seen in literature. So that is that. I do love it very much, and I am excited for the extra content. I just didn't really want to spend money on more editions, but here we are. Speaking of books that I get different editions of, Have an Official's Blessing is a series that I love with all of my heart and will collect every bit of content that I can for it. And so I have been collecting the deluxe hardcovers as they are released, just like having them on pre-order. And book 6 did come out last month. So this is book 6 of Have an Official's Blessing, or Tiangguan Zifu by Mo Shang-tong Xu. And y'all, there is some gore on the cover, so I apologize, but this scene on the cover is absolutely just heartbreaking. If you know, you know, if you have read the story. But I am going to show it, but there is some gore, so just be aware. But here we have the front cover. Okay. And now the sprayed edges. I couldn't think of what it was called for a second. Then we have the naked hardcover. And I really like the foliage on this edition, or on this book in the series, this installation. And I also really like the end papers on this one. I think they're really pretty. So there are the end papers, and if you want to see the cover art in full without the text box on the back, I'm going to show it again. Again, there is a little bit of gore, but there you have it. And the back end papers are the same as the front. And as I've said before, these deluxe hardcovers do contain all of the same interior artwork and all of the same content as the paperbacks that were originally released. But this story just means so much to me, and I love it so much. I have to get all the editions and have all the pretty cover art. But Have an Official's Blessing, we follow Shilian, who is a heavenly official, a god, if you will, who has actually fallen from the heavenly realm and has been living as an immortal mortal for the last several hundred years. However, at the start of book 1, he has reascended for the 3rd time and is now the god of scrap collecting. And he's kind of a pariah amongst the other heavenly officials for some things that have happened in his past. But he is going on missions and trying to build back up his reputation and his following. And while he's doing so, he meets a young man named Sunlong, who seems to have some sort of connection with him and may or may not be related to one of the great calamities, the Ghost King Hua Chong, who is feared by everyone in the heavenly realm. So that's just a very basic synopsis. I just love this story so much, and these deluxe hardcovers are absolutely beautiful. I guess I should quit showing the cover if I'm gonna warn you guys. But they're just beautiful. They're beautiful. Once I have all of them, there are only 2 more left because there are 8 books in the series. So once I have the last 2, these sprayed edges do make a cohesive image, and I'll show you what that looks like once I have all of them. But yes, I am just going to continue to get these as they go up for pre-order. And then I have another new edition of a book that I already own, and that is the deluxe hardcover edition of Howl's Moving Castle. I just love Howl's Moving Castle so much, and this edition is so pretty. I now have 3 editions of it. This is not a book that I want to collect every edition of, but I have the little dinky paperback that has like very vintage fantasy art on the cover that I absolutely love. Then I have the Fairy Loot edition, and now I have the deluxe hardcover just because I think this edition is so pretty. We have really pretty sprayed edges with the falling stars. And then the naked hardcover. And the end papers. And the end papers for the front and the back do show the same scene, but like the view is shifted. So like on the front end papers, we see this side of the doorway with Calcifer there in the fireplace. And then on the back end papers, we see the other side of the doorway. And I think the details are just so pretty. It's just such lovely art. I really like to just look at it. And it is also, this edition is illustrated by, I know it says it, by Stefan Bachmann. So it does have just some little chapter header illustrations, and they do repeat themselves, which was a little bit disappointing when I realized that there's not a unique one for every chapter. But still, I love the end paper artwork. I love the cover art. I am very happy to have this edition, just because, again, I love this book so much, and artwork for Howl's Moving Castle just seems so cozy to me and makes me really happy to look at. So I did splurge a little bit and get this edition, and I love it. It's beautiful. Oh, I guess I should explain what Howl's Moving Castle is about. We follow Sophie Hatter, who is cursed by the Witch of the Wastes to become an elderly lady, and she ends up coming upon the moving castle of the wizard Howl, who is known throughout the lands to be quite a scoundrel and possibly dangerous, and becomes his housekeeper and ends up getting involved in a situation in the kingdom of Ingery. And it's just really fun. It's so full of magic and whimsy. Like, when I read it, it just really brought out the sense of nostalgia in me that made me think of being a kid and really getting into fantasy books for the first time. And it was just such a very special experience. So I highly recommend it to any fantasy fans out there. Okay, 3 books left from Barnes & Noble, and these are all not duplicate editions. So the next one we have is I Killed the King by Rebecca Mix and Andrea. I'm not sure which. I think Andrea. I had a friend in middle school whose name was Andrea, and she spelled it that way, so I'm gonna say Andrea. So it's by Rebecca Mix and Andrea Hanna. After a decade of war, the kingdoms of Avondale and Estelia have finally agreed to peace. As nobles and magic wielders from both countries arrive at remote Castle Avondale for a historic all-night masquerade to celebrate, King Costas summons an unlikely group to his chambers. The Crown Prince, his Estelian bride-to-be, his personal guard, a wild beast tamer, and the palace's questionable new healer. But before Costas can reveal why he has gathered them, the castle goes dark. When the lights come back, the king is dead, murdered with the princess's knife in a weak spot only his guard knew of, and with venom from one of the beast tamer's monsters lacing the blade. With no clear killer and everyone a suspect, they make a risky pact. Tell no one until the treaty is signed. But when a winter storm seals everyone inside and someone aware of the king's untimely death begins to pick off guests one by one, the 6 suspects must work together to discover who killed the king before one of them is next. This has so many things that appeal to me. I love masquerades. I think that they are so atmospheric and spooky and eerie and beautiful and gaudy and extravagant, and I just love them. So we have a masquerade, we have a murder mystery, and a motley crew trying to solve it. I think this sounds really, really fun. I really hope I like it. The last time I read a murder mystery that was written by multiple people, it was The Grimoire of Grave Fates. And while in concept, I thought it was really cool, in execution, I was a little bit disappointed. Although that one was written by a very large cast of authors, like each author wrote a chapter. So this is not the same situation at all. I just really hope I like this. And it's the first book in a series. I want to say it's going to be a duology, but I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me. It may be longer, I'm not sure, but I do know it is going to be a series. I'm really excited for this. I love a good murder mystery. This one is like set in a fantastical world, and I loved Voyage of the Damned, which has a very similar vibe where we have kind of a ragtag group stuck in a location trying to solve a murder mystery, and people are getting picked off and they're trying to figure out who the killer is before everyone is murdered. I loved Voyage of the Damned so much. So when I read the synopsis and it made me think of that book, which just like completely stole my attention, and I was just so engrossed in it, it really made me excited to try this one. And I'm hoping I'm gonna have a similar experience with it. Also, I apologize for my voice. I have been feeling a little bit under the weather ever since that camping field trip. And several of my students today actually were not feeling well, which I'm like, oh no, because I was on a bus with them for so long and in a cabin with some of the girls, and I'm just like, I really hope that germs did not like just infest all the enclosed spaces we were in. But hopefully not. Hopefully this is just like a passing something and will go away. So we shall see. Okay, so the next one that I have actually already read, and that is book 5 of Lout of Count's Family by Rekhyt. I've been keeping up with the series and reading the books as they come out because it's so much fun. It's not like gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but I really, really enjoy it. It is an isekai or transmigration story, so our main character wakes up as a side character in a novel series that he is reading. He wakes up as Kale Hinatuse, who is the son of a count in this fantasy world, who has a bit of a reputation for being kind of a lout. Drinks a lot, gets into a lot of trouble, doesn't really respect the position that he's in or the power that he has because of his family. But our new Kale decides that since he knows some of the things that are going to happen, although he has only read the first 5 novels in the series, and so doesn't know how it ends, he is going to try to work the system and make it so that he and everyone he cares about will have an easygoing life and can just live in ease and luxury. However, that's going to be a little difficult because there is a war on the horizon, and a secret organization pulling strings in the background. And I just really, really enjoy the series. I will talk about my thoughts when we get to my reading wrap up, but I just really love it. Book 5 was just as much fun as the first 4. Now I'm just like waiting anxiously for book 6 because things have really gotten kind of heated at this point with the conflict, and I want to know what's gonna happen next. So, but I really, really enjoy it, and I love the art. I do know that there is a manhwa adaptation of this, and I'm just like praying that it gets a physical English publication because that would be amazing. All right, then the last book that I got from Barnes & Noble is The Macabre, and this is the deluxe first printing by Cusco Jackson. So it does have some really creepy cover art, I will say, which I'm going to show you blown up. So if you didn't like that little image, look away for a moment. But on the reverse of the dust jacket, it has like the cover art in outline and then in a blown up version so that you can actually color it if you want to, which is pretty interesting. And then it has our front end papers, which are very spooky, and our back end papers. So I am not usually the biggest horror fan. I have a very hard time explaining what type of horror I like. I have a hard time putting it into words. I do like some, but the majority of horror just isn't for me. But this one, the synopsis sounded intriguing, and I really want to give it a try. Worst comes to worst, I'll give it to my brother, who is a big fan of horror. But I really hope I like it. I really, really do. It also has some illustrations in the like section headings or the section dividers, which are very pretty. A picture is worth 1,000 nightmares. A struggling painter, Lewis Dixon, is shocked when the British Museum shows an unusual interest in his art. While he's always felt there's something powerful about what he puts on canvas, he also felt there was something disturbing just under the surface, especially as he was compelled to make a painting of a painting, one that he has a connection to. The subject of his art is one of the 10 paintings his ancestor had created more than 100 years ago. Only his version is surreal, and maybe just a touch horrific. Certainly not something the snobby art world is going to admire. Still, he accepts the invitation, only to find that the curated show is also a test, not only to see if he has the magic necessary to enter the paintings, but also the strength to escape them. Because unbeknownst to Lewis, there is power in his art, just as these 10 paintings carry with them both immense eldritch abilities and a terrible curse, making them perhaps the most valuable paintings in the world. And Lewis has been asked to destroy them. With orders from a mysterious museum official, Evangeline, and partnered with a handsome agent in her employ, Noah Rao, Lewis must plunge into a world of black markets, gothic magic, ancient history, and unspeakable terror to save those unlucky enough to call any of the paintings their own, and to hopefully locate the 10th painting, long missing, the powers of which are suspected to be most devastating of all. So yeah, I think that sounds really intriguing. I really hope I like it, but we shall have to see. All right, next I got in a package with 3 books from Blackwell's. Blackwell's is a bookstore in England that does offer free shipping to the United States. So I did make an order because 2 of these are from a series that I have read the first book of, and I'm trying to collect the rest in matching editions, and they're just kind of hard to find. And then the other one is actually the first book in a new series, which is the one that we will start with. So first I have The Copper Promise. This is the first book in The Copper Cat by Jen Williams. There are some tall stories about the caverns beneath the citadel, about magic and mages and monsters and gods. Wydrin of Crosshaven has heard them all, but she's spent long enough trawling caverns and taverns with her companion Sir Sebastian to know that there's no money to be made in chasing rumors. Then a crippled nobleman with a dead man's name offers them a job, exploring the citadel's darkest depths. It sounds like just another quest with golden adventure. If they're lucky, they might even have a tale of their own to tell once it's over. But these reckless adventurers will soon learn that sometimes there is truth in rumor. Sometimes a story can save your life. I don't know. Sounds cool. Has a dragon on the cover. I've heard lots and lots of praise for Jen Williams, specifically the series with the 9th Reign in it. But this one just sounds really, really cool, and I think it's one of her first series, if not her first, and so I really want to try it. And then I also got 2 of the books that I was missing in The Raven Saga by James Barclay. So The Raven Saga is made up of 2 series, a trilogy and a quadrilogy. Is that what it's called? The first series is Chronicles of the Raven, and the second, I believe, is Legends of the Raven, I think, or Legend of the Raven. I think it's one of those. And I did read the first book in Chronicles of the Raven, Dawn Thief, earlier this year, and I did really enjoy it. But some of the books in this particular edition are kind of harder to find, so I have been trying to just get them as I see them, and they were on Blackwell's website, 2 of them, for a cheaper price than I have seen them on like Books A Million or Amazon. And so I grabbed Noonshade, which is the second book in Chronicles of the Raven, and Raven Soul, which is the 4th book in Legend of the Raven, which is also the 7th and final book in the series. So now I'm only missing 2 books, and those are books 2 and 3 in Legend of the Raven. So I have the 3rd book in Chronicles of the Raven and the first one in Legend of the Raven, and I'm just missing 2 and 3 in that second series. But the Raven Saga, or at least Chronicles of the Raven, follows a mercenary group known as the Raven, who are basically unbeatable. They are well renowned for being able to accomplish any job that they are given. However, in Dawn Thief, they get involved in something bigger than they've ever been involved in. that possibly actually has to do with the end of the world. The dread witch lords are rising again, and the Raven has been hired to try to find an artifact known as Dawn Thief, which is the only thing that can stop them. But Dawn Thief is also extremely dangerous, and they're not the only ones looking for it. So I really enjoyed Dawn Thief. It was pretty self-contained as far as the story about the Witch Lords and Dawn Thief, but something happens at the end of it that obviously is setting up the story for at least book 2, which would be this one. So I am happy to have these because I just really like these editions. I like the art on the cover. I like the spines for some reason. I just like the way that they look. And I do want them all to match, so I am glad I was able to get these. And now I just need 2 more, and then I will have the complete series so that when I continue it, all of my editions will match. Okay, and then I also got one pre-order in from the Broken Binding, and that is Of Darkness and Light. This is the second novel, but the 3rd book in The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. The first book is Of Blood and Fire, and the second book is a novella called The Fall. And I have been getting these TBB Press editions from the Broken Binding. They are gorgeous. I guess I'll show you the slipcase first. It's so pretty. Has a quote on the spine of the slipcase. And then the book itself, I mean, look at that. I'm sorry for the glare. It does come like with a plastic protective wrap, and I don't really want to take it off because I don't want to mess it up, but you can kind of see the gilding back there. And it's so beautiful. It's the spine and the back. It has gilded edges. We have the naked hardcover, which, I mean, come on, guys. Look at that dragon. So cool. And then it has a map on the end papers. It is signed by the author and numbered, so I have 1059 is my number. And it's really cool because they let you request to get matching numbers with your other editions so that they are all the same number in the set, which I think is really neat. And it does contain interior artwork as well, which there is an example of that. So these are beautiful. Have I started the Bound and the Broken yet? I think I called it the Buried and the Bound earlier. Did I? That's a different series. It's the Bound and the Broken. No, I have not started it yet. Do I really want to? Yes. I think I'm just a little bit intimidated because I really want to like it. And I'm nervous, and I really want to like it. But now I have the first 3 books, and this one is way bigger than Of Blood and Fire. So, yeah, I need to try the series. They're so gorgeous, and just seeing them sitting there staring at me and knowing I haven't read them kind of hurts a little bit. And then it also came with 2 coasters that we have. There's the first one with the front and back. It says Dragon's Tears, warning, contains snapper venom, will numb senses. I'm assuming that makes sense in the context of the book. And then the Gilded Dragon. Now, the first book also came with 2 coasters, and it also came with a Gilded Dragon coaster that's a gold pattern, or a gold color scheme, and without the bloodstains. So I'm assuming, again, that this makes sense, the progression makes sense in the context of the book, but I shall have to see. I don't really remember what this is about, except that it's Dragon Rider fantasy with, I think, an unlikely protagonist. And that is a trope and a storyline that I am always here for, so I really do need to try this just because it is so well loved, and I love dragons, and I love Dragon Rider stories so deeply. I just need to see what all the fuss is about. And lastly, for this book haul, I got in a box set from Crunchyroll, and I'm so excited about it. This is the box set of the Heaven Official's Blessing animation comics. So I have been collecting the animation comic box sets in Mandarin, which is a language that I am attempting to learn. So I do have a rule. I don't collect editions of books in other languages, but I do make an exception for Mandarin because it is a language that I am attempting to learn. Have I made much progress on it lately? No, because I just haven't devoted time to it. But I haven't given up. I do really want to. I just need to like actually devote time to it. But so I have been collecting the animation comics in Mandarin, but now they're releasing them in English, and the box set is different than the Mandarin version. There is the art on the back. And what's really cool about this particular box set, I'm sorry, it's quite heavy, is it opens like little doors, and you see Huachang, or you see Sanlong and Xilian in the little interior, and it's so cool. And it did come with some extra goodies, which I'm going to show you. So we have 2 shimmery can badges with Xilian and Huachang. A like film strip style bookmark showing the moment when Xilian, dressed as the god-pleasing crown prince, dives in to save baby Hong Hong R. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but it is one of my favorite scenes in the Donghua, which is like a Chinese anime, because it's so beautifully animated with the colors and everything. Then we have 2 little glittery art prints, which I do actually have larger versions of these that came in. I can't remember if they came with the art book. I think they came with one of the 2 art books that I have. But they're very pretty. I love them. Then we have some stickers with them in chibi form. I can't remember what this is called in Chinese. I think it's like Q form. I don't remember, but they're very, very cute with some of the outfits that they wear in season 1 of the Donghua. Then a little chibi art print, which is so adorable. I love it. Another art print, which the art on this one is beautiful. They look so lovely, and the colors, it's so pretty with the pink at the bottom. Really, really lovely. And then we get to the actual books. So what these are is they are comic adaptations of the Donghua. So the Donghua is an animated adaptation of the novels. These are like taking screen caps or screenshots from the Donghua and putting them in like graphic novel comic form, or manhua form. So we have book 1, and the sprayed edges, the gilded edges, do have black on them that do make an image, which I will show you guys once I get them all out. The naked hardcover. Then we have book 2. And I am so happy to have these in English now. So that I can like go through and read them much more easily, because learning to read Mandarin is harder than learning to speak it. And so there's no way I could go through and read them at my skill level, but I can read these, which is really nice. Book 3. And I really like that they did different colors for the naked hardcovers. I really like this color green. That's a really pretty color. It doesn't look quite as pretty on camera as it does in real life. I'm just going to move the box actually for a moment. Oh, I'll go ahead and show you. Back behind where the books sit is a picture of Hua Chong leading Xilian in his bride outfit. Yes, very pretty. So he is disguised as a bride at one point, and that's what that scene is from. Here we have book 4. And the naked hardback. Book 5. And from what I remember, the cover art for these editions is the same as the cover art on the Chinese versions. Again, really pretty color. I think that's a beautiful purple. And finally, book 6. And this does cover all of season 1 of the Donghua adaptation. Okay, now just let me put them back in the correct order, and I will show you the sprayed edges when you look at them together. So together, oops, they look like this. And they say, with heaven's blessing, no obstacle is too high. So yeah, I'm so happy to have them. They're so pretty. The presentation for any Heaven Officials Blessing stuff is just always like top notch. And my obsession continues, so. But anyway, those are all of the books that I got in the month of September. I'm really happy with all of them. Again, a little frustrated with the Cerulean Chronicles situation, but it is what it is, and I am happy to have that additional content. So, but yeah, I would love to hear what new books you guys have gotten lately, or if you are now interested in any of these now that you've seen them and kind of heard me talk about them. And, you know, yeah, if you guys are planning on getting any new books or anything that you've picked up recently that you're particularly excited about, I would love to hear about it. Or if you want to leave an emoji, let's do a little bat emoji. So if you want to leave an emoji in the comments, either with your comment or you just want to let me know that you were here but you don't really have anything else to say, you could put some bat emojis down there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!